Ready to unlock a language learning secret weapon? You probably already have it in your living room.
Yeah, we're going to dive deep into how watching English media, like movies and TV shows, can really help you level up your language skills.
I bet some people are thinking, wait, isn't that just passive entertainment?
That's what most people think.
But honestly, there's a real science to how this kind of immersion can accelerate learning.
Yeah.
It's way more than just picking up new words here and there.
It is. It's about training your brain to actually think in English.
Exactly.
When you're constantly exposed to authentic English the way people really speak, your brain just starts absorbing it, like osmosis almost.
Love that analogy.
And you start to understand not just the words, but the humor, the cultural stuff.
The whole context.
Yeah, it's a totally different level of understanding.
You know what's really cool? Our research points to this kind of immersive learning, tapping into the same brain processes we use to learn our first language.
As it kids, right?
Yeah.
We pick up language through constantly hearing and using it, not by memorizing grammar rules from a textbook.
That's why watching English media is such a game changer. It gives you this real-world environment that textbooks just can't replicate.
So true.
So whether you're thinking about traveling abroad or just want to be more confident using English, this deep dive is all about showing you how to make your screen time work for your language goals.
We've got a ton of research and real-life stories that reveal the unexpected benefits of watching English movies, TV, even YouTube videos.
I love that.
We'll break it down, we'll cover how it can boost your vocabulary, your listening skills, even give you a glimpse into English-speaking cultures.
Okay, let's kick things off with vocabulary. We all know textbooks have their place, but let's be honest, they can be kind of dry.
Yeah.
It's like learning about plants from a textbook versus actually exploring a rainforest, you know?
Exactly, and that's what English media is. It's that rainforest for your language learning.
Yes.
You get hit with so many words and phrases, slang, idioms, all those things that make language come alive. One of the articles we found talked about someone who picked up the phrase, "I'm starving," from a comedy show.
Oh, that's a good one.
And they already knew how to say hungry.
Right, but starving, that's different.
Exactly. It has a whole new level of meaning and humor.
Exactly. It's like unlocking a secret code to express yourself more naturally.
Mm.
And speaking of codes, our sources talk about this simple but super effective strategy to make this vocabulary goldmine work for you. You know that Friends fan who kept a notebook of funny phrases?
Oh, yeah.
They were onto something.
Absolutely. That's what we call active listening.
Yes.
It's about really engaging with what you're watching, not just letting it play in the background.
Hmm.
When you jot down new words and phrases, especially those that sound interesting or different, it helps you remember them.
It's like creating your own personalized language decoder ring. Here's a tip. Don't just write down the word. Write the whole sentence you heard it in. That way you understand the context, and it's way easier to remember.
And don't be afraid to get specific with your goals. Don't just say, I want to learn any 5 new words. Maybe focus on idioms or phrasal verbs. Those are the ones that can really make your English sound more natural.
All right, so we've got our vocabulary expanding. Now let's shift gears to listening skills.
Okay, so think about it like this. Reading about music is one thing, but actually going to a live concert is a whole other experience.
Right, absolutely.
English media is that live concert for your ears. It immerses you in all those different rhythms, accents, the way people actually talk.
And let's be real, most textbooks don't prepare you for how fast and slang-filled everyday conversations can be. But good news, our sources actually show how you can turn this into a learning opportunity.
Totally.
One person said they use subtitles to keep up with the dialogue in action movies, which are usually super fast,
That's smart.
like having a personal trainer for your listening comprehension.
It is.
At first, they used subtitles in their own language, but as they got better, they switched to English subtitles. This helped connect the spoken words with how they're written.
It's a great strategy, especially when you're just starting out. As you get better, you can start turning the subtitles off. Your brain will adapt, and you might be surprised how quickly that happens.
I love how this makes learning feel like part of the entertainment, not another chore. But hold on, there's more to this than just language, isn't there? We're also stepping into the world of culture here.
You got it. Language and culture are inseparable. English media gives you a peek into the social norms, the humor, the values of different English-speaking communities.
Like you're getting this cultural decoder ring.
Oh,
And you know, one source actually talked about someone who learned formal British etiquette by watching Downton Abbey.
wow.
They were so into the language and customs, and they said this knowledge actually helped them feel more confident when working with British colleagues.
That just shows that even those really specific cultural things you pick up from media can have real-world benefits. It's about becoming fluent in the culture as much as the language itself.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered vocabulary, listening, and even cultural insights. But here's the big question. How do we keep this from feeling like another boring homework assignment?
Right, right.
How do we actually make it fun and effective?
That's the key. It should feel like a fun adventure, not a chore. And if you already love watching movies and shows, you're halfway there.
I agree.
If you're all about action movies, then go for those explosions and car chases, but in English.
Right. Love cooking.
Yep, find those English cooking shows and get inspired. The point is, choose what you actually enjoy watching.
Exactly.
That way, you'll be more engaged and you'll learn more naturally. But watching is only half the battle. To really unlock the learning power, you got to actively engage with the content.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it doesn't mean turning it into a study session with flashcards.
No.
It can be as simple as pausing the show to repeat a cool phrase or trying to copy the accent. You could even jot down your thoughts about the story.
Those little things make a big difference.
They do. They force your brain to really work with the language, which helps you remember what you're learning.
All right, I'm going to try that. And here's another tip from our research. Don't be afraid to switch between things that are easy and challenging. If a movie is too hard, put on a kid's show or watch a short YouTube clip.
Right.
And if you want to push yourself, shows like Sherlock or The Crown have tons of great vocabulary and really complex stories.
That's so important, finding that balance. You don't want to be overwhelmed, but you also don't want it to be too easy. Remember, it's totally fine to start with simpler stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great way to build a strong foundation.
It's like lifting weights.
Yeah,
You don't start with the heaviest ones right away. You got to build up gradually and enjoy the process.
definitely.
So, any other tips for making this a regular habit, something we can fit into our lives?
Absolutely. Even just 20 or 30 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
I love that. It's like a daily dose of language vitamins.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like work because it's entertainment and practice at the same time. Win-win.
Exactly. You're relaxing, enjoying a show, and your brain is secretly soaking up English, almost like a superpower.
Love it. Okay, before we move on, let's recap what we've learned so far. Vocabulary, listening skills, cultural insights, and how to make this fun and effective.
It's all about shifting how we think about watching TV and movies. It's not just entertainment, it's a chance to connect with a new language and culture, to expand our world and challenge ourselves in a way that's actually enjoyable.
And speaking of challenges,
Ooh, I like that.
are we ready to raise the stakes a little?
I think it's time, don't you?
I'm all ears.
Okay, well, we've laid the groundwork and explored all the possibilities, but now it's time for you, the listener, to make this knowledge your own.
I love that. Let's empower our listeners to become the creators of their own language learning adventure.
Yes, let's do it. So we've explored all the awesome benefits of watching English media, from learning new words to understanding different cultures. But now I want to challenge you to think about how you can make this knowledge work for you personally.
I love that. It's all about taking what we've learned and creating a language learning experience that's perfect for you, Robin.
Exactly. Think of it like designing your own language adventure. We've given you the map, the tools, but you get to decide where you want to go.
Okay, I like that. So where do we start? How do we take all this information and actually put it into practice?
Well, start by asking yourself a simple question. What English media really speaks to you? What are you passionate about? What are you curious about?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's about combining your love for something
Yeah.
with your language learning goals. Makes it feel a lot less like work and a lot more like fun.
Absolutely. If you're a history buff, maybe you're drawn to documentaries or historical dramas. Like, imagine immersing yourself in The Crown or Downton Abbey. You're not just watching a show, you're picking up on how people spoke, the etiquette, the social dynamics of a different time period.
Ooh, I love those shows.
Yeah, they're great. Or maybe you're really into science and you love those documentaries about space or nature.
Oh, yeah.
Think of all the cool vocabulary you could pick up, all while being entertained and learning about things that excite you.
That's so true. And we can't forget about music lovers. The world of English music is huge, and it's perfect for language learning. Imagine diving into the lyrics of your favorite songs, watching interviews with artists. It's like getting a backstage pass to the music and the language.
It is. And for anyone who loves to laugh, comedies are a goldmine.
Oh, yeah.
Think about all the witty wordplay, all the cultural references. Understanding humor in another language, there's nothing like it.
I totally agree. It's such a satisfying feeling.
It is.
Mhm.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot where your passions meet your language learning goals. There's no right or wrong answer here. Explore, experiment, see what works for you.
You know what I really love about this approach is that it totally changes the game for language learning. It's not about forcing yourself to study boring textbooks or memorize lists of words. It's about making language learning a natural part of your life, something you actually look forward to.
Right.
I love that.
And you know, one of the coolest things about this is the element of surprise. You never know what amazing new words you might find, what interesting cultural things you might discover, even what new hobbies you might pick up along the way.
It's like going on a treasure hunt. You have a goal in mind,
Right.
but the real joy is all the unexpected discoveries you make along the way.
Exactly. And don't forget about the sense of community that can come with language learning this way. You can share your favorite shows with other learners, talk about the cultural things you've noticed,
I love that.
you know, even have friendly debates about British versus American humor. It's all part of the fun.
It's true. It turns language learning into something you can share and connect with others over. So much better than doing it alone.
It is. And speaking of sharing, we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What English media has really resonated with you? What have you learned about language or culture? What shows or movies would you recommend?
We're all in this together, and we can learn so much from each other. Your insights might inspire someone else to find their own language learning treasure.
Absolutely. So don't be shy.
Mm,
Share your stories, your aha moments. We want to hear it all.
we do. All right, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, let's go over those key takeaways again and turn them into actionable steps. So, what do we do now? How do we actually use all this awesome information?
Great question. First, choose something you're genuinely excited to watch. A show, movie, YouTube channel. Don't force yourself into something you don't enjoy. This is supposed to be fun, not a chore.
Follow your bliss, right? Let your passions guide you.
Exactly. And you don't have to commit to a whole series right away. Start with an episode or two, see how you like it. If it's not doing it for you, try something else. There are so many options out there.
And don't be afraid to try different genres and formats. Maybe you start with a lighthearted comedy, then try a documentary, or even a classic book that's been made into a movie. The more you mix it up, the richer your learning experience will be.
Right. And don't forget about those tools we talked about. Subtitles can be really helpful, especially at the beginning. If it's easier, start with subtitles in your own language. Then, as you get more confident, switch to English subtitles. You might even find yourself not needing subtitles at all after a while.
That's such a great image. It's like watching your language skills grow right in front of your eyes. But let's be realistic. There will be times when you come across slang or cultural references that you don't understand. What do you do then?
That's totally normal. Don't worry about it. It's all part of the process. It's okay to pause, rewind, look up a word, or even ask someone for help. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the journey and celebrating all the progress you make.
And speaking of celebrating, let's not forget the most important part. Have fun. Enjoy the process, experiment with different approaches, and be kind to yourself. Every episode you watch, every word you learn, is a step closer to fluency.
Beautifully said. It's about turning those hours you spend watching TV and movies into opportunities to learn, connect, and have fun. And now, as we get ready for the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. I love it. What is it?
We've talked about how to use English media for language learning, what to watch, why it's important. But what about the bigger picture? What does all of this mean for you, the listener? How does this knowledge help you become not just a better language learner, but a more connected global citizen?
That's such a great question. I think it's easy to get so focused on the details of language learning, the vocabulary and grammar,
Right.
that we forget to zoom out and ask ourselves, why are we even doing this? What's the point?
Exactly. It's about understanding that language learning is about way more than just a skill. It's about opening up new possibilities,
Yeah.
new experiences, new connections.
Expanding how we see the world, even.
It is. It really can change how you see the world.
I love that.
Yep.
So learning a language actually changes our perspective.
Think about it when you can truly understand a culture through its language.
Yeah.
You break down barriers. You start to challenge your own assumptions. You connect with people in a deeper way.
Wow.
It's like suddenly you see everything through a new lens.
That's a great way to put it.
And what's fascinating is that it can even make you understand your own language and culture better.
Oh, really? I've never thought about it that way. Tell me more.
Well, when you're immersed in another language, you start to notice things about your own language that you never did before.
Like what?
The little quirks, the strengths and weaknesses.
You're seeing your own language with fresh eyes.
Exactly. And it can make you a better communicator overall.
Really, even in my native language.
Yeah. You start to appreciate the power of words, the importance of being clear, the beauty of how we express ourselves.
That's pretty cool. So it's like learning another language helps you become a better speaker and writer, period.
Absolutely. And there's this other aspect to this whole so what question that I think is really important. It's about empowerment.
Empowerment. What do you mean by that?
When you can communicate in another language, you're not stuck in your own little bubble anymore. You can get information, connect with people, and navigate new situations with so much more confidence.
It opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Right. Imagine traveling somewhere new and actually being able to talk to the locals, or getting your dream job because you have those language skills.
Those are great examples. It really hits home that language learning isn't just a hobby.
It's not, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It can open doors and create amazing opportunities.
And let's not forget how good it feels to actually master a new language.
Let's say it.
It's tough, but that feeling of accomplishment, when you can finally express yourself, understand jokes, there's nothing like it.
It's like you've climbed a mountain and reached the top. The view from there is amazing.
Totally. But I'm sure there are times when it's frustrating too, right?
Of course.
You hit roadblocks, you feel like quitting. What advice would you give to someone who's feeling that way?
First, be patient with yourself. Learning a language takes time and effort. There are going to be good days and bad days.
Right.
The important thing is to celebrate the small wins along the way. It doesn't matter how small they are.
Focus on the progress, not perfection.
Yes. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are so many resources out there to help you: online communities, language exchange partners, tutors, even podcasts like ours.
That's right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Connect with other people who are learning too.
We're all in this together, learning, growing, supporting each other.
I love that. And speaking of support, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dives.
We've covered a lot, haven't we?
We really have. We talked about the science of learning a language, the power of immersing yourself in the culture, the amazing things that can happen when you challenge yourself to learn something new.
Yeah. It's been an incredible journey.
It has. And as we say goodbye, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. We've talked about why learning a language is so important, the bigger picture, the doors it can open.
But in the end, the real question is, what will your language learning story be?
Ooh, I like that. It's like a challenge to each listener to create their own story, to find out what language learning means to them.
Exactly. What are your goals? What motivates you? What are you passionate about? What kind of world do you want to create for yourself through the power of language?
The possibilities are endless.
They are. So go out there, embrace the challenge, have fun. Let us know where your language learning adventure takes you.
We can't wait to hear all about it.
Until next time, happy learning.
Bye, everyone.